Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. I'm your host, Sir Stephen Topham Hatt the Third, at your service. Now we're going to talk about this topic a little bit seriously because the Hat so far, as it goes by timeline schedule, right? You had Senior first, obviously, then Sir Topham Hatt the First, now deceased. They're both deceased, and then you end up with Charles Topham Hatt the Second still alive, and then you got me, Sir Topham Hatt the Third, on top, Stephen Topham Hatt the Third. Right? You have to realise this is reality version of Thomas and Friends now, down the core. There are a lot of connections I have that's going he or he or she could overboard their timeline. Right? At the moment, the way the family's going forward, right? Richard Topham Hatt is the next one in line. That's a guaranteed. Now, a lot of you know about Emily Helen Hatt. That's number two. Right? So that's two of them because I got clues and I got answers for them. Right? The problem is with you lot, I think a lot of you will totally agree with me on this one, is that time must not be rushed. Why is that? Right? A lot of the timeline has unfolded all in truth, the way it was shown in fiction, all the way to reality. Bang! What do you end up with? Right? It's unfolded beforehand. It's unfolded now. What's the big issue? The problem is a lot of people find it hard to absorb that information so quickly. The third generation is now kicking in with the new information and it's absorbing in truth. So they cannot be not lying, be not being deceitful or being untrustworthy. With us hats in general, right? We lived before even my time. Even Sir Topham Hatt the First or Charles Topham Hatt. Before that, we went into senior mode, which was the 1900s and the early 18th century to mid and late and going on and on and on. All right, I won't go into deep detail, but there you go. So, what is the problem right now? Right, you're asking who's coming next after Emily Helen Hatt. Now, the question is, you cannot unfold something that in reality yet that hasn't been unfolded, right? So there are times where I will pick up things, clues and answers to get things moving forward, right? You have to let the progress of reality slow it down a bit because I'm 40 years old and I'm kicking ass and I won't retire without a hiccup, right? You have to realize it's slow, right? At this point, a lot of people want to know what the hacks have been up to, right? Reality factor. Yes, we've been fighting just to get back our station. Why? The key element. Without the key element, we can't go forward. If the key element is fucked, excuse my language, it go things won't progress forward as the way things unfold in front of you, right? So a lot of people are starting being prepared ahead. Why? Emily Helen Hatt's not in the picture yet, nor is Richard. Work it out. Get it in your head for a moment. Give it a little bit of thought here. This is things that is unfolding slowly. Right? You're starting to realise what's unfolding in truth, in logic, and respect. Right? We're getting the respect back at the same time as say to the Norfolk Railway, wake up and smell the damn coffee. Right? They're laughing and laughing and joking and joking. Do you want me to tell you something? We're laughing at them. Alright? That's the full point of that. But the thing is, I am telling you, the hats haven't progressed further enough yet. Right? There's a lot of people now asking questions. Questions that can't be always answered straight away, right? There are certain points in time, there's a connection for everything, right? And while the private connection of mine, let me put it in perspective, please, has gone um, a little bit loose, right? So then you have to be diplomatic on what has been unfolding gently, right? There are things that you have to get so far. The Hats are progressing forward naturally. Why is that? Now, a lot of clues are scattered everywhere, right? But you got one thing that is not an inadequate mode. Everybody's projecting so far ahead, right? We all know who the next back controller is after Emily Helen Hatt, right? It's her son. But you need to work out who her husband is before you can predict the next move, right? Somebody screwed up, right, online. Just for example, I'm not going to say where their source is coming from because this is not completely accurate to begin with yet, and it hasn't unfolded yet in general. So a lot of people are predicting this a little bit ahead of scheduled team ups, right? If you slows it down a bit, let that time progress forward, right? We all know it's going to unfold gently. We all know about Richard and Emily Helen Hatt, right? We both understand they're my kids and my kid and my grandkid. We know that, but we just haven't worked out the other half of the hats. So the hat so far is me, just me at the moment. You got to work out going forward that realizing why is this a problem at the moment. Let's look at the provocative side of it, right? You just had the truth about Lily, so that's already gone forward. So I'm not going to mention her again, but acknowledge that she's already been acknowledged, right? I acknowledged it to you in front of the page, like front head news, right? Saying she's returned, bang, right? The other thing that the Hats have so much in common with is their friends, their connections and colleagues, right? Right, somebody is projecting so far ahead, right? We're talking about, right, in any angle, right? Why had after Richard is Emily Helen Hatt, which is my granddaughter. So after she becomes back controller, when her father, which is myself, Stephen Topham Hatt, retired. Now somebody with that bloody biography, why would he use somebody that is not even born yet? You can't. It's so illogical, right? As far as it goes, Richard Topham Hatt and Emily Helen Hatt are the next two in line, right? Then you ask about Bertram Topham Hatt, right? Hasn't left the building or anything like that yet, right? A lot of people have certain knowledge and blockades or safeguards in place, right? We establish there is something about what is unfolding in front of you. The hat so far, you got me and probably Richard in front, and then you got Emily Helen Hat, who isn't born yet, and you know she's the last one in my family to carry the name of the Hats. So what happens after her? Well, the problem is the clue lies within the person I hate the most. Right? I have to work with all franchises besides my own. Right? You cannot change one person's, let's say Emily Helen's Hat's fate because of me. There's something about me that's telling you, right? It's telling you there in black and white, right? You got to work out, right? I want you to be honest and straightforward, right? That my granddaughter, right, Emily Helen Hatt, after she becomes the faculty, when her father, Sir Stephen Topham Hatt, it doesn't add up. She's my granddaughter. Ding ding. So this is after my time. So work it out. If I'm in my 40s at the moment, work it forward, work it forward. Now keep going forward slowly. Now progress that further slowly. We're not rushing it. We're not bloody as if we rush it, then we just destroy everything that's in front of you. We don't want that. We acknowledge as hacks. My mother, myself, my real father, Charles Topham Hatt the second, acknowledges that we're not rushing it. Right? So you have to take certain individual out of the picture for a moment, right? You have to acknowledge there is some collusion to this. You're gonna have Richard, obviously, and you're gonna have Emily Helen Hatt. But if they're my son and my granddaughter, where the hell are they at this moment? Now this is the question that you can't always answer because you don't know if it's unfolded already and it's naturally taking its course because of the young. Let me put this in perspective for you, right? But all our family, all our engines, all our friends, all our connections, all are assembling up. Why? With a bigger fleet than the Norfolk where we can run us down with. Right? Think about it. We are connected for a reason. Right? You already established Lily. She's not going to be going nowhere at the moment, but she's safe and sound, and we already acknowledge that. That's the event that unfolded, right? Now you got to work out. Okay, if the Hats recognise that, where are we when we still standing by hearing it all? So acknowledge, right? You have right an individual who's got no height, no weight, no status. They can't say it's active, that's inactive. Then the age is not applicable at the moment because we don't know what age he will be. And I will tell you now, straight from the horse's mouth, if if this individual comes into the picture, he is either a friend of a family or a connection to the family. He would not be employed after my granddaughter. That's no doubt about that. Why? Because I won't allow it. Right? So whatever happens now, then you got to work out if Emily Helen Hatt is around that time. Could it be a husband that she takes on? This is what I want to know. Because whatever move I'm making right now, it's got way reverse psychology on this. Right? You need to work out and wake up and smell the coffee and realize this is going to unfold. Well, this is how far this individual, my private connection, has gone through. Right? I looked at the surname, and the first thing is, it's not the name, it's the surname. The surname is put me at red alert flag. Why? What makes me know that my private connection I have so close to me, right? I'm going to tell you about the person that I feel comfortable with at the moment, right? Not because we have a lot in common, it's the way it's unfolding, right? You don't see me with my kid or my grandchild at the moment. Wake up and smell the coffee on this. The hat so far is third generation. Right? The other two haven't been lit up yet. Wake up, it's still another 40 years, but how do I manage to crack it? Right? You gotta work out my wife and my two kids. My kid and my grandchild. Right? So that's two. Right? You need to work out, okay, What's the catch? We're not giving you no catches. I'm asking the cops, the police, the whole full act to take full recap on this and work it out. Because there's a collusion in this that will open up people's eyes a bit more. What is the catch among this? You got to work out how does this individual that I just looked at, right, hasn't got no status, but it says active, but I say it's inactive, right? And the rest hasn't got no height, weight, or age. Work it out. He's not born yet, and he's completely out of the picture at the moment. You have to work out what has unfolded already, right? You have to really go back a little bit and then go forward, right? Before you can even say Jack, right? Who did I trust with my knowledge with so much potential to make this other individual pop out when Emily Helen Hatt takes over the railway, right? She does her job, right? But then you got to work out what makes it all tick up here to make you realise how it's unfolding gently. Why? Why do I play safe while all my other families, family are all playing dangerously? Work it out. What are they not doing all the time, but they're not saving their guards? Do you want me to tell you a little hint? Up here, I know that there are certain individuals that know about me too well, right? They know they look like these particular individuals know me very, very well. Not just as friends, but as connections as well, vice versa. The hats at the moment is me only at the moment. No, I haven't got married yet. I haven't even done that yet. You need to work out what's the problem, what's the connection, what's unfolding. You have to look back at the original season 4 and 5 before you can say Jack. So then you got to work out what made the other individual. This is what I'm trying to ask you politely in every aspect. How did I keep the family going? Right? That's your big question that you have to put in place because the hat so far is right down to me right now. I'm making all the right choices, all the right timings. Why? Why I asked that if you really thought about it twice, the choices you make determine what unfolds naturally. It unfolds naturally, but you need to get it correctly done, right? We all knew there must be a choice that my granddaughter will make because she comes to me. Why? It hasn't happened yet. So you can't judge a book by its cover right now. So if that was right after this book, this is the second book that links the third and the fourth and the fifth. Right? Because it's a separate entity from the one I got over there. Right? So you need to work around it. How did I pull it off? I haven't done it yet and I haven't thought about it yet. So think about it. When the hat so far you've gone through generation one, the senior, generation one and two, and now partly three. Work it out. It only takes a minor detail to look at the events that already unfolded before you can realize, holy crap. Do you know what? People believe it because it's true. It's unfolded in truth. Lily Cole's story, the whole full act, the whole determinant is starting to unfold in front of you. You've seen it of fiction with Wild Nor'wester. Now work it out going forward. You're slowly going through it. You're not running. If you run, you destroy the world. Work it out. The cops know this. Everybody else knows this. Work it out. What's the missing link on the NHS's part, which they don't even realise? Why do we get safeguarded every time we rise? Think about it. There's a question and there's a good answer. There's two of this bloody job. Before you can link it up together and make a whole one family. Work it out. Why is the NHS always safeguarding us? Why? There's a problem they can't see because they think it's of the opposite direction. If they were thinking on my side of terms, they will understand everything, right? I can't always give out the trade secret, if you like to call it correctly. You got to work out, okay, you got a red flag, right? This individual that was supposed to take over from my granddaughter isn't born yet, not even in flesh and blood, right? But the surname really caught up the red flag. So what has been going on? So you're still in Star Trek, like Deep Space Nine department as well. Think about it, going forward, and then you're working it out and realizing, oh shit. Well, it's not oh shit. Let me give you an example of this, right? Certain individual I know, private connection wise, knows it's unfolding in correct mode, but it's gone very slowly. It's not a big running game. I hate to say it. If you want things to unfold correctly, you got to let it play out naturally, right? The North Norfolk Railway will no longer exist. Why? Because they screwed up somewhere. So work it out. So the dates were wrong. They are a little bit inaccurate. They're not playing correctly because it's going third generation right now. So you got me, but you haven't got Richard yet, and you haven't got my granddaughter Emily Helen Hatt, right? If you realised what was unfolding at the moment, we're still in the early years, not in the modern years. So if you look at it logically, certain things will click in place, right? But you've got to be flaming damn patient. No offence, but it's like saying to the cops, do all your jobs in one day. No, I don't ask the cops to do that because if they rush, they screw up. So work it out. If they knew this was unfolding all incorrect, in all correct mode, but they have to let it play out like natural course, what happens? We had Fiery Flynn, we had this, we had them, and the bill are doing the repeating pattern, if you will. And then you realise, oh, Lily's gone missing, we saved the day for that. That's not the problem here, right? We know that the Hats have got so far to go, right? You're pushing us to go too quickly. Stop acting like we are immature because we're not. We're trying to safeguard you all at once, right? The problem is that when I revealed myself, right, is to get the adult half and the second half of the book done with the fourth generation's beginning. So work it out. You got third gen halfway there, right? You got the third gen, the next half, the adult half, which is now you're watching it with your own eyes and ears, right? Every generation goes through all of this, and it's not an easy game. My ad, I'm not going to be disputing about it, but it acknowledges everything that's unfolded correctly. But then a private connection of mine, it's like saying, "Oh, boom, boom, boom." What happens if this is where the fault is, right? You have to be realistic, right? If Emily Helen Hatt was my granddaughter, right? Right? When it comes down to the bottom of it, right? right? Her father is Richard Topham Hatt. So then you asking yourself the next question, right? Then it's Charles Nicholas Hatt that will be next in line after her if she has a son to carry the bloodline. Near enough, anyway, that's how it works. Anyway, then things should add up. But then you've got to work out if that happens, then you get your next fat controller on the line. But the way it all unfolds naturally at the moment, in this moment of time, you got me and you got Richard Topham Hatt coming your way. Why? Because still going to be around, active at all times. I'm not going to retire, right? Because it's stated at the time, right? I will never retire. That's a lie. When somebody told me I would retire, I will know when I'm ready, right? You have to be realistic on saying what? You have to work out 2 generations before, work it out. You have Richard Topham Hatt that will do it for 2 to 3 years. Then you have Emily Helen Hatt that will do the final piece. Now work it out. It's not the final piece for her. So if Emily Helen Hatt was alive and well today, who would you think she will marry? So work it out forwards, not backwards. So you go forwards, right? The person's name that I'm getting on my screen is somebody really conflicted right now. Right now, because people people that I'm mixing with at this moment of time, it's all adding up the way it should. Don't get me wrong, the story's adding up nicely and it's slowly unfolding. What do you think I am calling out for? Helena Margaret, who is supposed to be my wife. Now work that out. She's not in the picture yet, but let's take it from another angle so you get a bigger picture, right? Right? There are people around you that may feel comfortable with this in any direction and form, right? That will know everything from everything, right? We understand there's a logic of truth, right? But the person's name that I got on the board at the moment feels like it really like saying, what do I haven't done this action yet, and I will never do it now, right now, because I'm still in my prime. So work it out. I'm still in youth. Lily's come into picture and she returned home. We know that. That's not the problem here. That's a separate true story in every motion. But the thing is, because I made it as a two-parter for obvious reasons. But now the big question that everybody's asking, the hat so far is my senior, my grandfather, my father, and myself. Right? Richard Topham Hatt is the next one in line. That is really proven. That's stuck as glue. Right? Then he will marry his wife that will bring in Emily Helen Hatt into the picture. But if you really look at it, it takes every 100 years to do it. But the more you persist of saying, oh, this is what's going to happen after your granddaughter or whatever, this and that, I said, look, there are things about my family that are magical. Something that you always keep not believing in is magic. Magic is purely, you can't see it, but if you see me do certain things that are unnatural, you will see, oh crud, he knows every move we're gonna make. I said, yes, I do. Right? The reason why, right, when Emily Helen Hatt comes into the picture, right, you need to work out who the family is. that I'm marrying too. This is why I've been cut off it from that bit, if you know what I mean. It's not destroying the time stream, it's actually acknowledging to you that my wife is anonymous for one reason. Right? There is private connections in my area that's watching me. Right? You have to be realistic. Right? There are people in real life that know me too well. Right? You can't say, oh, this individual will take over from his granddaughter. No, 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 no. Bullshit that. Because sometimes when I say it will happen, you will be the first ones to know about it. But as things go through time, as it progressed forward, right, you had Senior, you had the first Charles Top, Charles Topham had the second, and then me on top, third, right? You now realizing the facts, the logic in all of this, right? Time doesn't speed up for your luxury. That's right. If we had speeding time to do that, we would, but couldn't because if we do, we blow up you, and it won't be fair on anybody, Tom, Dick, and Harry. No offense if you feel like offensive, but it's true. You see, when it unfolds in natural course, sometimes the whole the way Britt Orcroft done it for me, I bless her, right? Because she's lady in general in the movie. But the thing is, when you don't often see it, be proud of what you're accomplishing. A lot of this is so far. The Hats have gone so far into what they have achieved, me included. We are all a Hat family, right? We have connections of family and friends and so forth all around the globe, right? We don't disconnect from each other. We just have to acknowledge what's unfolded, right? That's why I stop intervening with my family. Why? Because I have to let their timelines unfold naturally. So when you think, oh, let's ask a question here. Why? A lot of you know who the first engine on Sodor is after in my family. Let's take my Donald and Douglas. We all have Donald and Douglas, the 9 and 10 engine, right? He wasn't just the first engine. Let's say Donald as example, right? Number 9, right? A lot of people don't realise we are living human beings after all. But at the same time, we are circling waste. We live by a code. We live by with a directive, if you will. We like on Star Trek, if you will, call it that way. But the Hat's always been watching you. So was other people watching over us. Why? We have to be safeguarded, safe potentially, but you have to be realistic. How far in your how far in the story have we gone far so far? You know, you can't just judge a book and say, "Oh, Emily Helen Hatt's got the next one in line," and but the problem is, then they are not related. Why? Let me put this in perspective for you. Right? There's only one way that little package can be added in the time stream, which it hasn't been added. This is what I'm saying. You got Richard Topham Hatt, you got Emily Helen Hatt. How did this individual pop out of the picture to take over from my granddaughter without authorization from her, from the Hatts or anybody, even myself? My father would have been dead then and gone and buried, right? You have to be realistic, right? You have to take our ages now, not what's on the bloody internet. Me giving you full fledged, real life ages of ourselves, right? Sir Toppenhat, Senior, is deceased. Sir Toppenhat the First deceased, right? Then you've got my father, Charles Topham Hatt, who's in his mid 60s to late 60s, because obviously my mother is only 1 year behind him, if you get my point. And then you've got to realise that if she's 65 or that way, and then you've got Charles Topham Hatt and he's 66 years old. So what else? Wake up and smell the damn coffee. There's a reason why. Right? You have to be realistic. The Hats have gone so far in this time stream so far. We haven't backed off. We never backed off from the community. We never died like like half of people say we have. I said it's the years and the dates that fucked you up. And since I realised all the real dates are now coming in, all you have to do is listen to me. Listen to me patiently and listen good because it's all realistic. Not a bunk, it's not BS, it's straight to the point. Right? We established we already had senior, which is number one. Then you add three more to make the actual pattern correct. Right? Now, get through your heads, realizing that Emily Helen Hatt isn't born yet, nor is Richard. But you got to work out why. It's a standard protocol which I talk about quite a lot of, but you have to be realistic on everything. The hack's so far, right? I will put in a description of our ages, our years, our months. Then you could say what? Richard Topham Hatt not born yet. Emily Helen Hatt is not born yet. Why is that? You need to work out the missing link there because there's a missing link there you know about, right? You have there's a lot of people that will give me everything that I need to help me out, but at the same time, you're actually making me understand there's a there's a waiting game here. This is not a BS, right? The person that you want after Emily Helen Hatt, you're asking me what made that choice. You're gonna ask that very question, right? The Hats will continue even after Emily Helen Hatt. The reason I state that for the record right now is because I'm telling you straight. I know why this individual, my private connection from Australia, has already stated that. He knows something about what's unfolding, right? But it's the way it's playing out right now, in front of your eyes and ears. Right? People in Australia and America should have realised this is unfolding in 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 the correct way, yes, but it's the choices we make that determine the results in the end. Right, in the day, the Norfolk Railway's got nothing else at the moment. They screwed themselves over and made this one big problem in the head, in the end, right? So you're gonna end up waking up and smelling the coffee on that. But okay, I can't do nothing with them right now because the thing hasn't happened yet, right? Every generation of my family, yes, we have to get married. Yes, we don't have a damn choice. But there's something that you're not seeing. Why is it 2024 when I'm talking to you about it now rather than later? Because people are pushing their timelines so far ahead. Just think about it. Think about it logically. What is keeping you from understanding the principles, the basics, the full whack? What is making it awkward right now? Ask the question. What would piece it back together again? I'm doing this out of kindness, not out of disrespect. Now, I want you to understand the hacks have been progressing through time, progressing slowly and progressing forward. But you need to work out right in truth, right, you need to realize why. Why why is this all happening so far? Why would I tell you now, in truth, the reason why? The connection lies somewhere between the two families. That my mother and my father, but they both added a piece in, right? Which is Helena Margaret, right? But you need to work out which side of the family that's extended. But so you have to go backwards on this. There's only one person that will give me something back in return. And you lot are selfishly working, don't even realise it. There is a person I trust more than anything, right? If I mentioned about Lily Cole as example, what was she to begin with? I'm now going to give it to you on a silver platter. So that's what your answer is. Why is the Cooper involved as acknowledgement, right? And now you're actually seeing it, right? And acknowledge the Cooper begins it, the Cooper will end it. Think about it. If Lily Cole is a friend of the family, why is it? Just to finalize this off. Why? Because the Cole family as a whole doesn't matter if they are extended, yes, but why? There's another friend I have in all prying eyesight of all of this, right? They all connected. Let me tell you exactly why. Right, the Hatts have gone so far, but we're gonna push it even further into the future. Why? Because you know my son Richard and my granddaughter Emily Helen Hatt. But why? But then you got to work out my my son's mother's name. So if it's Cooper Link, it's Cooper Ending. Think about it. Why do you think I choose Margaret, which is my mum's cousin, right? And my grandfather's sister, my great auntie, daughter's department heir. Why is the Cooper family so well connected? You got Helena, Margaret, but only one is the major connection. Why would I choose? Why do I choose Margaret? She's 80 years old today in real life. Right? Margaret married somebody else. Yes, we know that as sure. But why do we all have middle names in play? Checkmate. Why does a Cooper start it and a Cooper will end it with me as well again? Why? It's third generation, keep that in mind. Think about it. Why would the Cooper start it and the Cooper will end it? What's the catch? Get real on this. The Hats have gone so far in this. You need to work out why Helena? Why Margaret? What's the catch? Let me reverse this in a little bit of a way that you understand it. You know, Margaret is my great auntie's daughter's name, which is Margaret, but it's her child down. Think about it, going below, keep going down, right? She's my distant cousin, that's for fact. but you won't touch this family at all, period, except myself. Why? Helena, if I chose Helena, I would be residing to the Diesel team side. Think about it logically. Margaret has a lot more in common. Think about it. Why Margaret? She's 80 years old, but her mother is Lily Cooper. Think about it. Let's get real round here. Come on, guys. I need your help. This is packed so far, so think about it. If you know that Margaret is Cooper blood, right? What makes the next generation down be the next one down the line? Think about it. You have all the Cooper family, which originated. Let me get this. Stop the screen share. Thank you very much. So you're dealing with a Cooper connection here, but it only comes down to me because she would not uh, close. So you got Helena and Margaret. You know, Margaret is actually to deal with my side of the family because of it's my great auntie's daughter, Margaret. But why Helena and Margaret? Work it out. There's something about this that connects us all. Right? You got Helena and Margaret, but Margaret is something to do with my great auntie's daughter. So work it out. Who's been travelling back to me all this time, but no one's picked up on it? Helena, Margaret. There can't be there's a rectification to save us all. Work it out. There's so much to my family that's a connection for a reason. What I'm going to do, someone I know that's up close and personal knows something that no one else would know about. If you want the individual in the question, like who's in question at the moment, to come to light with this, I want cops to ask yourself a question here, right? You got a family set that's that started it all, right? Let me give you a timeline that will help you out a bit. Reverend Robert Audrey went to the when if you're looking north, right? My family went to the right, and then my group and Reverend Robert Audrey went to the left. But why? William Marriott is our main connection for the M&GN, the Midland Great Northern, or the NWR upside down. Think about it. Now keep going. So you got two sets of families, the Reverends and the Coopers. What happened on the Cooper side of the family? While the other half of the Cooper family was below. Keep thinking a little bit here. I'm giving you real facts and details here. Right? It takes a little time to absorb it. You got Helena Margaret. Now, that has to add to something. If Margaret is my great auntie's daughter, which is Margaret, who did she marry that make the underneath to make Helena Margaret? Doesn't add up right, does it? So work it out. Helena would have made me go to my my father's side, descent, great descendant job, or distant cousin job. So work it out. Two grandfathers that worked well together weren't in the picture together. Why? One of them is my mother, which was safeguarded for one reason. Why? It's all about numbers, right? A lot of people will think Why the Hat's gone so far? Why? Because there was a bigger picture at the end of the tunnel. But now you got a question to ask. Why would the individual that's going to take over from my granddaughter that I don't hardly will ever know? Why? Someone that I would not trust at the moment because he's not born and he's not raised yet. Think about it. Someone that's gone overboard with the storyline. He may have told it in truth, but he's not seen everything else unfold yet. Work it forward and forward. What do you get? If he rushes it, he gets the big bomb. So what happens? So he slowed the story down a little bit, right? And now you're getting surnames and names that I know of. So who did I trust at this moment as a friend of the family? Why? You got to work out who Helen and Margaret is as a separate entities, because they are two families that are not a Hat member family yet. You need to work out how did the individual that's in question, right? This is like a going to crime DI detective investigation direction. Now think about it. You got a real life direction here, right? The cops and everybody else would investigate it as well. Why? Your third gen Hat is here. You got two more people in my family, my son and my granddaughter, which is true. But then you also have this individual that's about to come after Emily Helen Hat. He hasn't even started to work on the railway yet. So you work out, is it a friend of the family or a connection to the family that knows my family too well, in and out? Work it out. You got Helena, Margaret. Margaret, I understand. Why? Keep her blood. Keep her bloodline backwards. So when when Margaret, my great auntie's daughter, had her daughter, if that ever gone that direction, think about it. If she's having daughters, think about it. Think about it logically. A keep her bloodline. Think about it. You got. Let me give you another example, right? A lot of people don't realise how much they don't know about my family at this moment of time. The Hats, I'm here, third gen, right? You need to work out Richard Topham Hat's the next one in line, which I know about, and I know about my granddaughter, Emily Helen Hat. But why? Let me ask you a question that you may not solve over time. Let me ask this, right? You know it's a Cooper connection to start off with. Why? We talked about Lily Cole, but this is the very beginning of of my family tree. Lily Cooper, Henry Cooper, then you have Charlie Cooper, then you have Flo Cooper, right? All five of them in a dicky bow. Why? That's how it starts, but then my other half of my family took a different directional approach. Think about it. What did happen, right? There's a connection that's been made within the whole franchise. You're saying little pieces come together? Well, you're going to have to learn it the hard way. It always has been, right? But somebody's been watching me. Eyes and ears everywhere. Like always, we do the same. Why? So we can coordinate with each other, help each other in every direction. But I'm making sure why the Hat's gone so far as they did. But while we're telling you that Emily Helen Hatt is not born yet and Richard Topham Hatt is not born yet, keep it thinking at the moment. They may have been born, one Richard Topham Hatt may be born right now, but you need to realise what's at stake here. We're looking at what is going forward, right? You have to be realistic. Why? If I said to you, right, I got a connection and a friend, why? Let me put this another way perspective, right? Where in Wellsworth, as we stand in Sheringham / Wellsworth, you have to take a consideration here. This is a serious matter, but it's also easy way forward. We're not pushing you away, we're making you help me as you do, as I help you. You want to learn these things, we're learning it the hard way now. I've got nearly 40 years to try and knock this off with one simple, easy way out, without no hiccup. Remember, my family is mostly dead as it goes, besides my father, my mother, and the support engines. That's all I've got left. Right? You have to get real on it. Right? We're not discriminating here. We're telling you the truth, what has been unfolded already. But at the same time, people are predicting a lot of it is coming through to a very high extent. But then you got to realise if that's unfolding, then the rest of it will unfold naturally. Right? You want to get to why did Emily Helen Hatt? Who did she get married to, and who's her son or grand or daughter, if you like to call it correctly, to carry on it? Right? Right. Let's take another because that's the only example. Why would I choose the individual in question? Why? Why would I let him take the actual railway from my family? Now, this is a question you need to ask. Why? The question in all prime eyesight, you know the hats that go down in generation by generation, right? But I'm not married yet. So ask that question that first of all. Right, you know the bloodline that's supposed to go down by chain. What's the next one? I'm not failing here. I'm correcting it slowly. We're not rushing it. So work it out what I'm doing very slowly, not rushing it, not doing anything, just letting it unfold naturally. What do you think will happen if Emily Helen Hatt never had a kid of her own? What or a kid of her own, or never married, or never done that? Because that would destroy the whole thing in general aspects. But if she has a daughter, that will carry on the bloodline instantly. Why? Because she's had blood, right? But she's not born yet. Right? Get it in your head. This is why it's so realistic. Right? You're seeing events unfold slowly, which is true. But then you're asking, the cops would have actually asked, who is the suspect or person that's supposed to be taking over from your granddaughter? Right? Right? There's things that are meant to unfold to a point, right? You got two more generations of the hat, which is my son and my granddaughter, which is a definite yes. But then you got to work out this is no joke. This is no scenario. Why would a friend of a family put me in a little predicament after my granddaughter? Right. Let me put this in perspective. Right now, all my connections are in their early 30s, 40s, and probably 50s right now, right? The rest of the early year team, right? You are putting me in a predicament right now, knowing it's all happening, all in truth, but unfolding gently. Now, let me ask, this is why I said, why is the Hatt family and the Cooper family so connected again? Why? The Cooper family's got something to hide, right? They're protecting someone. My wife, Helena Margaret. But it's why? Why Helena Margaret? What's her what's her maiden name before she becomes a Hatt? Work it out. If it's nothing to do with my father's side of the family, that's to throw me off. Think about it. If Margaret is her middle name, that means she knows somebody within the family. Think about it. If Margaret knows somebody, which is my great auntie's daughter who's now in her 80s, what is got Helena Margaret in play? Checkmate. She's my daughter, she's my wife, that's for definite. But then you got to work out why is Helena Margaret in play. Then you got to work out she's Cooper background, yes, that's no lie. But why? Why would a Lily arrived on time? A Cole, right? We saved. Basically, I saved her life, right? But people don't realise it. The cops took all the credit. Don't get me wrong. I'm not. That's safeguarding me, but letting them do their job to help me out. It's basically passing the buck as for a longer connection. Now, why would the Cole family actually have a Lily in the family? Jim Cole is the connection. What do you think is in play? Go backwards. Now, did Margaret marry a Cole? Let me ask that question again. Right? Lily married somebody not from the Cooper, because she's Cooper blood, so she won't double sword it like that. She will marry somebody she knows, right? A family to a friend, right? A family friend connection, right? Then you have to work out, okay, Lily's taken, she had Margaret, right? Stage two, right? And then you have to work out, Margaret's getting the next generation coming in, right? So she marries again. So the DNA sequence changes. So work it out. Think about it in your head logically. She was once a Cooper. She's Cooper blood, which is true. I'm not lying on that. But then you work out why is Margaret involved, right? Margaret got married and had another kid. Ding ding. So what happens? Right? It's all in truth and it's all in logic. Why am I sensing another Cooper bloodline from my family all the way here in Norfolk? Think about it. Helena Margaret is coming in my area right now. Why? I'm sensing a really blood connected family member who isn't blood related anymore. So who is it? What would connect us all and save us a hell of a lot of trouble and know something about the family? Think about it. Cooper bloodline to begin with, and and she and Margaret got married to somebody else. Who got to the third gen of it? Work it out. It adds up. Calculates well. You got a Cooper, Lily Cooper, got married, and had Margaret. Margaret then got married to somebody else and done another bulk. What? Well, if it's not a Cole, who would it be? Think about it logically. It's saying Helena Margaret, but what happened if Margaret is her middle name and Helena is her first name? Who did she marry to or right, we know she's supposed to be marrying to me, that's for sure. But what's the catch? She's third gen, like me, but she was her mother has been married second time, and so Lily been married the first time. Think about it like a DNA sequencing. What happens? So she's all the family started at the Coopers. So work it out. One of those connections between Margaret, or this Helena Margaret, is a bloodliner type connection. This is all the father's side. Think about it. Who would? It won't be the. Let me put this in another way of perspectively for you to understand this. Right? Right? For this individual to show up after my granddaughter doesn't make sense, right? To a point at the moment. Work it out. Right? You got the Coopers and and somebody else. Like I say, Margaret got married to somebody else. What makes the other one at the bottom so unique? So you start off with the Coopers. Lily Cooper married somebody else and had Margaret, and Margaret's in her 80s, 80 plus, or passed away probably. So we got no family connections anymore besides her granddaughter or daughter down the line. So it'd be Helena Margaret, whatever her maiden name is right at the moment. And I'm trying to work out if it's a Cole or any male surname. So work it out. I think I worked it out, but I'm not at liberty to say. So they all start off at the Cooper end. Where are we now? So work it out. It's third generation. You got me, right? Then obviously you got my mother behind that, so that's second gen. Excuse my French. And then you're adding up. It would not be my grandfather's side. It's my grandfather's side here. This is not my father's side. Grandfather's side on my father's side. It will make it too obvious and too unnatural. So what would it be? Who would? I'm gonna ask this as a whole question. You got a family set, and you can't realize how did this become now a tycoon of a third generation's marriage. So you got Helena Margaret. And if it was on my father's side, it wouldn't been, of course, all the rotations all in place. Think about it. You got the Cooper married to somebody else, which makes Margaret surname don't know. Excuse my French if I put it correctly. 80 years has passed and she has her daughter. Boom, boom, boom. Now going down the chain. Now work it out. If she's known as Helena Margaret, what is her maiden name? Because there's a catch to this. It would not be on my father's second marriage issue, or he would have screwed up big time. So work it out. If it's not Helena, the person that I know of, who would it be? It won't be the Cooper line, that's for sure. She's not Cooper blood because it will make the wedding very disgusting on our side of the family when it shouldn't be. So the hack so far it would have made us look bad when we're not. So work it out. You got the Coopers going down the chain, Cooper, Margaret, and then you got her daughter or granddaughter in play here. It's distant cousin, somebody that I'm aware of, but I'm just picking up the pieces as I go right now. So if if let me put this in another way, right? I know this story might sound a little bit odd, but right at the moment there are a lot of things you're not aware of, right? Emily Helen Hatt isn't born yet. This is why it's so flaming far ahead, right? I know, right, in the instant that I'm still in power and will never retire regardless because I always have the instinct to know things, right? So we rule out me. We know it's Richard that's next in line, but then you got to be realistic on the timing of it. So realistically, how does this individual get here after my granddaughter's timeline? It doesn't make sense, number one, and it doesn't add up. So realistically, where would you put a family trait? It's not a secret, it's just acknowledging who Helena Margaret is plus maiden name. Because it comes from the Cooper end of the family. My blood side, or my grandfather's side of the bloodline from my mother's side. So we know it's Helena Margaret, but it'd be Margaret something. It all adds up. Calculationally wise, what if when somebody tells you we are a family friend, no more, no less routine, right? There's no confusion and there's no delay in this, right? We all working together to solve this last piece. You got, you got the Coopers who started it all, right? We all have our connections then, right? This is back in the 1900s, 1800s, while the Hatt family still worked on the railway. So take this into consideration, guys. Be realistic. The Hatts married one side to able to accomplish the next bit, right? Then we all had males in the family. We all got reproduced as males. Why? Then you've got the Coopers as well. Think about that. That's another set. The Coopers already started building up. So work it out. You have Lily, you have Charlie, you have Henry, you still have Flo, and quite a few others. There's only four of them to begin with. Right? Where have I seen that four in any angle? It's a DNA code for my granddaughter. Work it out. So work it out. If Emily Helen Hatt is the last hat in the field, right? Which it won't be. Work it out. It's very simple. It starts off with Coopers on my mother's side of the family. The Pidgetts, no longer living, so you can exclude them out. But what? Who did Margaret marry? Now, it's like a question. You have to go through. Lily married, that's my grandfather's sister, older sister, married someone that brought Margaret into the world, right? Margaret married somebody that got somebody else into the family, right? So it's 80 years in between, gone, poof, right? She's probably gone or buried, whatever. Don't know, because we don't keep in contact anymore. Right, the next one is Helena Margaret. Right, so somebody has got my great auntie's daughter's middle name in play. So work it out. We all have middle names for a reason. Why? Helena and Margaret, yes, but what is the surname before she becomes the Hat? Work it out. There's some connection with me and this individual. We know it's something to do with Lily to begin with. So it's Lily, Margaret, and then there's other person. So there's a connection there. So if you realise where the hats are falling into shape here, I'm here on time. But recently, over the weeks and over the months, I start to pick up pieces as it goes, right? And it's all adding up. But if I said to you, right, why is the 12 the ending here? Think about it logically. You got a 12, which is Emily's number. Emily Helen Hat. Why? Richard Topham Hat comes first. So that's my son. So work it out. Then people start asking questions. What happens if your son has another son? Then it will continue the legacy a lot more longer than you think. Then people will start getting really annoyed because it doesn't always tally up. Just think about it like a logic here. If she becomes a daughter, then that's Emily Helen Hat on a doorknob, right? You need to work out what does Emily do when she's in her prime. Think about it. This is after I'm gone. So work it out. It's all playing out the correct way. But you got to work out. It starts off with the Coopers, and then it goes down a chain 3 times. Work it out. The Hat family never got married to my family until my mother was born. Second generation. So work me forward. You got the first Sir Topham Hatt the first, which is my grandfather on my father's side. Then it goes back a senior by a couple generations. So work it out. You got the connection there, but then you got to work out why is the Cooper family hiding the secret from their own flesh and blood. So you basically got stuck in the middle, basically, between the two thorns, near enough. But it's only one thorn between two roses. So work it out. What they what have they done that connected it all? You have to be realistic on this. Come on, guys. We're not all playing games here. We're playing what you will call talking sensible. Right? We're taking logic from respect. Right? You've got 3 generations of the hats. Now you've got 2 more on the go. Work it out, Ford. Then you have Richard Topham Hatt. Then you have Emily Helen Hatt. But you need to work out what connects it all. Right? A private connection, as I would say, said I like to remain friends with you. Right? Why is that? What makes us click? Right? We're best friends. We know much more than that. Right? But then everybody's asking, at this moment, everybody's asking who's my wife is. Right? Who would my my granddaughter wouldn't allow the ex part of my family to continue forward? You know Bertram is in play in this as well, you know. This is what makes it a little bit tick-tock. Why, we need you to help with this mystery. It's a solving puzzle piece of all time. But when you look at it, the Hat's so far. The reason I call it is because it's realistic. Right? We don't bullshit. No offense. But there's people out there that gone beyond the timeline itself. So the realistic timeline is playing out the way it should, of course. So when I go to my actual profile, which is a load of right, but they do not activate until I'm actually 40 years and above. So work it out. The timeline is playing out the correct way as it's meant to be. So now people are asking about my wife in general. If I already corrected most of my timeline, I will not change my mind ever since. So work it out. There is something about Helena and Margaret, the wife of myself, obviously, but she's alive, but we don't know how old she is. Because she's not 78, that's for starters, age wise. I said there's a lot of false information to cover our backs. So you got so in the day, it's all adding up and it's calculating right. Let me put this in perspective for you. Helena Margaret, right, is a wife of Stephen Topham Hatt the third Fat Controller. She is only mentioned in season 5 episode Expectations, which the Hats do appear in. So if you really realistically look at that, it's a lot longer than that. And that's being honest with you. Right? It's unfolding in the correct way, but you need to work out how did Richard get into play and how an Emily Helen Hack got into play without it with acknowledging what I've been stating to you. If the Cooper family started it all with Charlie, Flo, Lily, and my grandfather Henry Cooper, work it out. It all makes sense, but look down the chain hole. What what is unfolding at the moment from one side of the family, my side of the family, and it ends up finding out that Margaret has got a granddaughter or daughter that's about 40 years old or probably a little bit younger. Work it out. It could be a granddaughter in play as well. So work it out. Helena, Margaret, who is it? That's the catch. Thank you very much.